Hey, welcome to the Davita Stampin' Spot. This is actually a recording for two reasons. One, my husband and I worked outside today and maybe I overdid it a little bit. And I was concerned that I wouldn't be able to do my live at 8 o'clock. So I'm recording it a little early and had a family invitation come up that I wanted to take advantage of. So I'm going to do my Mystery Monday, my mystery stamping, and I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to read you the instructions, and then I'm going to flip the camera and let you watch me do it for those of you that struggle with my instructions. So here we go. You should have a piece of paper that is 5.5 by 8.5, and you cut it's your normal size paper. We're going to score it here in the middle, and that's actually step number one. You're going to need a piece of the same color cardstock, and it is 4 by 5 1/4. And you will want to, sorry, I'm grabbing my instructions here to make sure I tell you the right sizes. I have embossed it. I'll tell you to emboss it as we go through. But you need a piece that is 4 by 5 1/4. And then you need some designer series paper. And I covered mine up. Where did it go? Out of the same paper, you're going to need a piece. Well, let's see. You're going to need designer series paper 1 that's 3 inches by 3 3/4. So it looks like this. And then I did the wrong paper. You should also have one out of that same paper that's 3/4 by 5 1/2, just a coordinating paper. It doesn't really matter. Then your second piece of designer series paper is 3/4 of an inch by 3. And then I've already told you about your 2 pieces of cardstock. And then I used the oval punches. You can use those, or if you have something else you want to use, that's perfectly fine. But I use these 2 oval punches. All right, so those are all your pieces. So let's get to the instructions. So the first thing, and I already told you this, is you're going to score the 5.5 by 8.5 paper at the middle, which is 4 1/4, and you're going to burnish that to create your score line. So you're going to take your paper, score it in the middle, and then go ahead and fold it so it's nice and has a nice crisp score to it. And would you believe I don't have, oh, there we go. All right, next, you're going to spritz your 4 by 5 1/2 cardstock with water, place it in your embossing folder, and run it through your cut and emboss machine. If you spritz your cardstock with water, it breaks down the fibers so that you get a stronger, deeper impression on your paper. I chose to use this paper here. It is a part of the 3 embossing folders. It's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I open it up. To me, it kind of looked like snowflakes, and I was kind of doing a pattern. There you go. You could see that. This is an online exclusive, which means you can see it at our online store at www.stampinup.com. There are 3 really nice patterns in that 3-pack. All right, now I'm going to keep going, but if you need to pause the video, you can do that to do the step and then start it again. You're going to take your 3 by 3 3/4 paper, and you want it so it's this way, okay, the long way. And you are going to cut off the bottom of it with either some dies or with a punch. Just give it a fun scalloped edge. And I forgot to do that, so I'm going to do it while you're doing it. I am using the border punches. So it comes with all these different ones. And I like the smallest one. So I'm going to use this little pattern here. So I'm going to do that on my paper, and I'm going to do it just right down here at the bottom. So you want to select, you can use punches, you can use dies, whatever you have, just to give it a fun border. And I'm going to do that while you're doing it. I had just embossed my paper, so I need to change my plates here. So our new catalog goes live tomorrow. It's the mini catalog that has fall and Christmas in it. Most of you have received your copy from me. If you have not, let me know, and I will get it to you hopefully tomorrow. I hope. I'm trying to get those out. All products in there should be available through, I believe it's December 31st. All right, I'm running my die cut machine and cutting off that edge, and hopefully you're doing the same with your paper. And then you'll just take off that little piece, and it just gives it a fun little texture at the bottom. All right. And as you can see, I didn't cut off very much, just the edges there. All right, next step is stamp a greeting on a scrap of cardstock, which is color number 1, and punch it out. So I used the, I'm using Balmy Blue. So I took some Balmy Blue and I did the smaller oval. And then I found a greeting that I liked. Let's see if I still have it laying out here. And I do. So I'll get it ready so I can show you next time when I go through the steps and show you what I'm doing. I thought I was going to do it at 8 o'clock until just a few minutes ago, so I'm sorry if I look a little scattered here, because I usually have all this stuff ready. All right, so you stamped a greeting and then go ahead and punch it out, and then punch out your larger image. So I chose to do the oval in a darker color, so my 2 layers are like this. But you can do yours however you want, so do both of those. Now, I chose to use twine because this next step uses this really thin little piece here, and I didn't want real fat ribbon on it. So you are going to wrap it around twice. And you guys know me, you know I cannot hold ribbon and then tie a bow. So I always have to do it in 2 steps. So I'll show you. Wrap it around, use glue dots to adhere your ends on the back side of it. Then you're going to tie a bow and use glue dots to hook that onto the front. I'm working on my bow here. Make sure you get your ribbon wrapped around there and get your bow on. Next step is tie that bow and then use your glue dot to put it on the right side of the ribbon. So if you've got your little piece, it's going to go on the right side. Next, you're going to attach your 4 by 5 1/4 piece of cardstock on the front of the card. So it's going to go right over the top so that you'll have the same color twice. One piece will be embossed and then your card base will be on the bottom of that. All right, hopefully you've got that done. Again, if you need to, feel free to pause the video. Now we're going to start assembling some more pieces of the card. So you're going to take that 3/4 by 3-inch piece that you've wrapped your twine around, and you're going to place it in the middle of the card front about a 1/2 inch from the top. Center it, and then about a 1/2 inch from the top, and use dimensionals to glue that down. We want to give it some nice depth, so we'll use dimensionals. Again, take your 3/4 by 3-inch piece and put dimensionals on the back of it. Put it in the center of your card front, about about a half inch down from the top. Now you're going to put dimensionals on this piece, and you're going to place it so that there's maybe 1/8 of an inch between the two pieces of the designer series papers. So the bigger piece is right underneath the 3/4 inch piece. Next, you're going to take your two punched pieces. I used my two ovals, and you're going to glue those two pieces together. And then use dimensionals to attach the two punched out pieces to your 3 by 3 3/4 piece of designer series paper. You want to put it on the right hand side so that it sticks over the edge. And so it's about a half inch from the bottom of that designer series paper. So at the bottom on the right. Actually, I guess I should do it this way because you guys are backwards. Now, I chose, since I had light blue for my paper, I chose to put a piece of white paper on the inside. You can do that if you already have a light color. You're going to take that last strip of designer series paper and you're going to adhere it inside your card to give it some color on the inside. I chose this designer series paper, and part of the reason I chose to use it today was because I don't have the stamps. And so you'll see I'm not doing a lot of stamping. It's mostly paper and putting things together. All right, and that is your card. So now you can pause it if you want to, finish your card so that you can see how close you are to mine. I'm going to switch cameras, and now I'm going to do all the instructions again so that you can see how I did mine. And you know what? It would help if I plugged the camera in. Had my laptop downstairs using it. All right. It's going to get jiggly here just a minute, and I apologize for that. All right. Pull my extra pieces out of the way. All right, so the first instruction was to take your cardstock, score it at 4 1/4, and then burnish it. So I'd already done that. Then I spritzed this with water and ran it through the die cut machine. That's the back. This is the front. I think it looks really cool. Then my next instruction was to cut the bottom here. So I used my basic borders dies, and I cut the edge on the bottom of this piece. All right, next I'm going to stamp a greeting. I'm going to grab my mat. You guys know why I'm doing this, because I have photopolymer stamps and they don't have the cushion in them. So we want to provide that cushion. So you get a really nice clean image. I'm using Balmy Blue, and then my other piece of that was on this cardstock is Pretty Peacock, which was a color that we brought back from an in color. All right, so I stamped that. So I punched it out. Normally I usually stamp first and then punch it out. So in case I need to center it, but this hello stamp, this hello stamp pretty much fills the oval. So, oh my gosh, and I'm consistent. I grabbed a glue bottle that wasn't ready to glue. There we go. All right. Apologize for the phone call. Forgot to silence calls. All right, so I've got that piece ready. right. Okay, now we've punched out, we've done our greeting, and we've punched out the smaller one, and then the larger one, I used the pretty peacock. Now we're going to grab this small strip here. I'm going to use my glue dots. If you're able to wrap ribbon around and tie bows, you are welcome to do this in one step instead of two. But as I said, I, with my arthritis, can't do that anymore. So I always do it in two steps. And I wanted, because the twine was thin, I wanted it wrapped around twice so that you'll see that's why I did it twice. So I have a special offer for you. Since it's mystery stamping, I wanted to give you an opportunity. Oops, I crossed them over. All right. Sure, this is nice. I did have a hard time deciding which side of this paper to show. All right, there we go. Now we'll line those up so they're even. All right, like that. And then I've got my bow here. And remember, I told you to put it on the right-hand side. So it looks like that. That just does not want to hook correctly today. Well, good grief. Okay, here we go. We were laughing when we were backstage talking about how, you know, when you do a Facebook Live or a YouTube Live, it's real because you just never know what's going to happen. I'm going to go ahead and put my dimensionals on here to hold my ribbon in place. All right. And I want this to be nice and secure, so I've put quite a few on there. All right, I'm going to set that aside. Okay. Now I'm going to attach this to the front. I've really kind of gotten into this where I use the same color paper, but do one, the card base, and then the embossed over it, just to give it some fun depth. So it doesn't add a lot of color, but it adds depth to it. All right, so we've got that on. Now it says use dimensionals, and we've got them on this piece. We are going to place it in the middle, about a ½ inch from the top. I'm going to go down about a ½ inch. Put it like that. There we go. Then I'm going to use dimensionals and do the same thing. This paper that I'm using is the paper that Stampin' Up, oops, I don't want blue dots on the dimensional, has said for every package that they sell during the mini catalogs time, they are going to give, I believe it's $3. I should have looked that up. They're going to give money from every package sold to a philanthropic opportunity. So I will post those details on my website. I'm sorry, I forgot to look that up before I started. All right, so I've got dimensionals on here. And we're going to place it so it's about 1/8 of an inch away. So it looks like that. Doesn't that look cool? All right, so I'm curious, did my instructions help you to do about the same thing I'm doing? I hope so. I hope I'm giving good verbal instructions for how to do this. I learned this from a demonstrator that actually just hit her 1 million in sales. She's an amazing lady, and she does this with her customers and team all the time. And I thought it sounded like a lot of fun, so that's why I started doing it. All right, and then I want all the bear to show. So I told you to place it about right down here, but I don't want the bear covered up, so I'm going to do it up there. So you can adjust it for where you want, depending on your designer series paper. And then I have for the inside, I'm going to put a piece of white paper down. I like having white on the inside. It's just the way I do things. So I'm going to glue that down. You can do this if you want white on the inside. If you have a white or very vanilla cardstock, you probably don't need to. Or if you like writing on the color paper, you can do that. And then I cut this strip with the snowflakes, and I'm going to place that over the edge here. And now I have done, hopefully, the same thing you have and created this card from the written instructions. To make my card. So there's my mystery stamping for this week. There's the front, there's the inside. Let me show you. I actually got this idea from this card. I was going through some old swaps and I found this card. And I thought, oh, I love that layout design. We'll do the same thing for mystery stamping. So this is old designer series paper and old ribbon, but I love the idea. So there you can see how I stole the idea from a card that I had from the past. All right, so my offer, if you order anything that I've shown tonight in the next week, you are going to get a gift from me. So it could be the paper, it could be the punches, it could be ribbon, it could be the Basic Borders dies. I use the Biggest Wishes for the hello. So if you use that, make sure you point out, hey, I used what you showed on your video, and you'll be getting a surprise from me. So I hope you have a fabulous week. I plan to be on next Monday. I am starting to work football games. So watch for updates. If by chance games are running late, I may be a little late hopping on, but I plan to still go ahead and do my lives every Monday. All right. Can't wait to see what you create. Make sure you post a picture. There are always little fun surprises for people that post their pictures. So hope you have a great week, and I'll see you next Monday.